Yeah,
I know. Oh, good.
Can you hand me that stuff, please?
Absolutely.
And I'll take it around.
We can
and you all
pass it.
Yeah, or we can pass
Thank
it.
you.
Oops,
very
those
much.
cookies the whole way up here.
When we do bear releases,
thank
we,
You make cookies?
we make cookies.
Do the bears eat cookies?
The bears do not eat the cookies, but boy, the guys do. And girls. They're oatmeal chocolate chip and there are no nuts in case anyone knows.
Oh, that's yummy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, I assume everybody here knows each other. Do we need to do official
I think we should
intros?
do
Okay.
official.
And that way we can make sure that the staff is introduced as well.
Yes. Who are amazing.
No.
So,
Cookies for
shall I
staff.
have
Cookies for staff.
Yeah,
If I have to tender cookies.
somebody's, we've got an extra chair here. So Elizabeth, why don't you start off and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody.
So I can eat my cookies.
Elizabeth, I work for Senator Shaheen here in New Hampshire on environmental issues. Do you want to go?
Hi everyone, I'm Jeanne Hughes. I do communications for Senator Shaheen.
And I'm Janice Orff, wife of Eric Orff.
I'm David Gawaski. I'm with the Friends of Pondicherry and the Friends of Milhegan, Silvio Conte Refuge.
Nice.
I'm Jim O'Brien with the Nature Conservancy. Matt Leahy with the Society for the Protection of New Hampshire Forests.
John McGee, New Hampshire Fish and Game.
I'm Dan Bergeron, I'm Chief of the Wildlife Division for New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Stephanie Simic, Executive Director for New Hampshire Fish and Game.
Ben Kilham, Kilham Bear Center.
I'm Amy Lindholm. I'm the Director of Federal Affairs with the Appalachian Mountain Club.
Eric Orff, New Hampshire Wildlife Federation.
And I'm Rebecca Todd, Executive Director of the Connecticut River Conservancy.
Markel Smith, Director of a group called the Connecticut River Watershed Partnership, a group of groups.
And Deb Kilham, Kilham Bear Center.
Thank you. And we missed our,
Hello, I'm Chico Easterch. I'm with Junction Arts and Media.
thank you. Well, thank you all for taking time. I think officially we're here to talk about the legislation that is really based, which I hadn't been focused enough to recognize that it's really based on legislation around the Chesapeake Bay region and the Delaware River water gap until I was reading my briefing as I was coming up, which have been really successful. And so I think it's unfortunate the timing is such that it is, because I think it's a great opportunity for us to really benefit from legislation that can reinforce and support all of the work that you all have been doing for such a long time. So we've already reintroduced it. We have a number of sponsors from the affected states, and I think we have everybody but Elizabeth Warren on, and some of the Maine senators, because such a small part is in Maine.
I think Markel told us like 4 acres a million.
I think, we did the mapping and it might be 11.
You were exaggerating, Mark.
So we're still working on them.
Yeah.
Acres.
Yeah.
But we also are introducing it in the House. So I think that's good news that it's going to be bicameral. And if we can get Susan Collins to join us, it'll be bipartisan. So that would be great.
That'd be awesome.
Oh,
That would be incredible.
And, it's, as I said, I think the challenge is, unfortunately, some of the cutbacks that we're seeing at the federal level right now in terms of conservation and so many programs. Again.
What was that? Came out under your breath?
But it's an important opportunity for us to educate people, and I know that's what you all have been doing for a very long time. So we are going to keep at it, and hopefully once people understand the importance of our vision, we will get support for it, because I think the funding piece obviously is what would really be helpful as we're looking at the parcels that we still want to acquire and the work that needs to go on. So let me stop there and see if I can hear from all of you about the challenges that you think we're facing and what's next and what you're working on for this summer season. So.
I mean, I'm happy to frame a little bit of the thinking around the act. Oh, are we, someone else is here.
Oh, this is John.
Oh, he's driving me today.
Oh, nice.
This is John Jarvis, who is driving me today.
Awesome.
I'm the head of our operations for all of the Senate offices.
Well, I think it's just such an opportunity. Thank you for your support always, Senator, of all these amazing projects and all the amazing work that's going on in the watershed. I mean, we have, you know, we were just actually meeting last week, our partnership, and we were talking about how New England is so unique in so many ways. This awesome local government that we have with so many committed citizens involved and working together, and also the need to kind of coordinate on a regional watershed scale, and multi-state coordination is challenging here for that same reason, and so important with climate change and all the flooding that we have seen in the watershed and our states have really all struggled with. So we just feel like these nature-based solutions, these projects that we have are really an answer to some of these issues. And if we could coordinate at the scale of the watershed, the scale of the issue, then we would all be more effective. You know, we have more nonprofit organizations, land trusts, et cetera, in Massachusetts in particular, and Connecticut, than anywhere else in the country. So we have just this groundswell of support. So the opportunity to have something that's similar to what they have in the Chesapeake and Delaware seemed just too good to pass up. Like, why does New England's longest river, largest watershed, we should have something similar? So that was kind of the thinking behind the act. And the delegation's been so supportive. I know Senator Sanders has signed on to co-sponsor, which is awesome. He was the only one, I think, during the last Congress who didn't sign on. So this is, all great news. And I'll hand it off to others to speak to the opportunity.
Well, I'll just say, as a new kid on the block, I am honored actually to be a part of this. First and foremost, I think you said it well. Thank you for all the support. My agency, Fish and Game, has been gifted your support for many, many years and in primary areas. And when you talk about something like this, it's not just about the collaboration multi-state, it's about the collaboration within this state, right? And building those partnerships. And that's critical for us, not just for wildlife and natural resources, but also for our economy and for the public and the well-being of our citizens and our visitors. So this effort is really important on so many levels. It's hard to articulate it. You know, it's difficult to say, well, it's going to bring this and this. It's going to bring so much to our state and to the states that are involved, and so much to the people who visit and live in these environments. So I thank you for pushing this and helping this. I also want to take a moment and thank you for your support on state wildlife grants, because that's been an incredible opportunity for us as an agency to really make a difference in this state. So, and just being able to work with these partners, and as, like I said, the new kid on the block, an opportunity to actually sit down at the table and meet everybody and talk about the value of these environments. It's an incredible experience, and I'm so honored to be a part of it. And I really thank you all for bringing this together.
I think one of the things that New Hampshire has done really well that some other states maybe didn't start out doing so well is the business community, the environmental community, fish and game community, you know, timber, forest society. Everybody figured out that it was in everyone's interest to make sure we preserve so much of our open spaces and our wildlife. And that has really made a difference. We didn't have, I think at least for most of our history, we hadn't had some of the conflicts that some other states have had between those sectors.
I would agree.
Which has been really positive.
Absolutely.
And I think the Forest Society has had a lot to do with that, because you were around first.
You've been around a long time.
He's been a key player.
Not me, right, not me personally. No, I agree. And I would just say thank you, Senator, again. We are way behind in debt to you and all this stuff you've done. for New Hampshire. But I would say, we people, we can't separate ourselves from nature and open space. I mean, it provides us so many benefits. If you read through the language of the bill, it really lays out all those benefits, recreation and access for the public and water protection and forestry and all that. So it's actually really important what's going on. But sometimes it does take some type of federal umbrella or federal direction to kind of, like Mark Hill was saying, try to coordinate all these activities so they fit and they make sense and they're really leading to real benefits for people. I mean, that's what kind of why we're doing this. So thank you very much. This is really important.
And it's been interesting to me to look at all of the data, and you all probably have seen more of this than I have, but particularly since COVID, the recognition by the public as a whole and how important the outdoors are to our well-being.
Yes, mental
and
health.
encouraging. Yeah.
Just that alone is.
Turns out open space was good medicine during the pandemic, wasn't it?
That's right.
And I tell people we need to prepare for the next one. It will come, and we need to double what we have now for protected lands because there will be another. And our woods, our hunting woods, as a longtime hunter, were filled with people, and they still are. They came and they stayed. And isn't it nice to have another set of eyes that are appreciating all the gifts that we have? We have more wildlife now than since before historical times. We have over 6,000 bears in the state, and Ben has contributed to that, and 100 pairs of bald eagles nesting in New Hampshire, and a couple hundred pairs of ospreys. So many changes over the last half century that have been so beneficial that I've been involved to witness the changes that have happened in New Hampshire, and people appreciate that, but we know we need protected lands to make it happen and to keep it that way.
So I can thank you for all the turkeys in my backyard.
I did sprinkle turkeys around. Ted would catch them here and ship them east, and I was the sprinkler of turkeys. Yes, I was.
I think as we all are experiencing, we're living in a time of pretty significant disruption. Yeah. And I want to thank you for your testimony with Secretary Rollins regarding the Connecticut River Conservancy's $11.5 million grant for New Hampshire that has been frozen. So thank you very much.
Well, we're not, I wish I had good news. I mean, we have a call. We're trying to schedule a call with her for next week to follow up. Despite what she said about giving everybody her cell phone number, nah.
She didn't. If we can provide more information, we're happy to do that. And I will say what I am particularly enamored of with this legislation is that it is positive and forward-thinking in a time when we are all so deeply embroiled in the disruption. This gives us a sense of hope and a sense of connectedness. And as the Connecticut River Conservancy, that takes as its jurisdiction all 7.2 million acres of the watershed, we all know intuitively that what happens upstream affects downstream, and what happens downstream affects upstream. And I think this legislation in particular helps us to begin to conceptualize of ourselves as shared residents of a watershed. And I think that the Chesapeake and the Delaware have done a really good job galvanizing people's attention around a shared space rather than arbitrary political boundaries. Yeah. And I think this legislation gives us the ability to say, this watershed is my home. I may live in West Chesterfield, New Hampshire, or East Hampton, Massachusetts, but this watershed that we all share is our shared responsibility and our shared opportunity. So I view it as a really positive, progressive approach to a watershed that is, as you say, it's improving. And we just need to have more attention, collective state and federal attention to take the watershed to the next level. So thank you for being so proactive and positive in the thinking.
Thank you for putting it that way. I remember I had been in office as governor probably only a couple of months, and I got a call from Governor Jeanne in Vermont calling to say, we really need to sit down and talk about the Connecticut lakes and what we're going to do to make sure that we preserve the Connecticut River. He said, I couldn't get anywhere, so with your predecessor, so I'm really hoping that you're going to join me. So.
I think that went well.
And so it began.
But it's been a long, as you know, it's a long process.
Yeah.
You guys all know me about bears, but in the last 30 years I've been working with Dave Roby and Bear Hill Conservancy Trust, and we've conserved about 16,000 acres of land, which are being transferred to the Silvio County Refuge. Most of that has gone through. There's a little bit left to do. Dave is, in his generous manner, has pledged all the revenue that he gets from those easements to buying more land and conserving more land. So he has no interest in the money.
So we're working on these partnerships are so incredibly valuable because we get to be positive and proactive about things like this legislation, and as you mentioned, like the effort to educate folks is really building our own community and partnerships as well.
Right.
But then we also have these partnerships to call on when things are very challenging, and we're gravely concerned about that money for acquisition, and think that there's a really big kind of attack coming on the Land and Water Conservation Fund from the administration. And
I think they're going to try and take the money.
I think they're going to try to not have any money. So we've relied on you as such a fantastic champion of that program, and I know that we'll call on that again, and hopefully on our many friends across the aisle as well to all push back on that. So thank you for everything that you have been doing and that I know you will be doing.
And as you point out, the bipartisan nature of this is really important. That's how we got the full funding for LWCF, and how we got the additional money on top of that with the Great American Outdoors Act. And we need to make sure that bipartisan support continues.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to try to roll that back.
So I think we'll keep talking as we head out, but I want to be conscious of time. So I think, Deb, right, we were going to, maybe the senator and Stephanie, who hasn't been out yet, go in the back to see the bears, and you'll all be able to see us. Is that right, Deb?
Oh.
And then we'll come back around, and then we'll all walk over to the new center to see the new space. Is that?
Is there, before we go,
Oh,
is
yeah,
there
is there
anything
anything
else
else?
that
Yeah.
anybody wanted to add?
I just want, one of our board of directors for the Kilham Bear Center is Bob Green from Green Woodlands. And he's put together about 23,000 acres.
Wow.
And is in the process of considering what he's going to do it and how he's going to conserve it. So he talks with Dave Roby all the time, who's clearly the expert in conserving land. We have a big block of land here that's going to be kept open forever.
Yes, I have the map here.
Good. Oh, good, yeah.
That shows.
Yep, Bear Hill.
But it doesn't show where Green's land is.
No, that's just Bear
I'll
Hill.
show you. I have a map. Yeah.
This is in Dorchester, Groton, what other towns? Some in Lyme.
Ah.
And Green. Ooh.
Nice
Pretty
colors,
colors.
right?
Pretty
I know.
colors. Those are nice.
Yeah. Well, these are courtesy of Green Woodlands for everybody over here. So the original David Roby's project is the dark green. The Green Woodlands are this light purple.
Okay.
So they would build off of, we often say like land conservation begets more land conservation, sort of picks up speed on its own. So this is a great example.
So on this map, it's up in here.
Right.
Is that
Yeah.
light green?
Yeah, and I can give you this one too.
And those big connected pieces are not, there's not that many left,
No.
right? So
No.
that's really a unique and
Yeah.
important opportunity.
That's great. Well, and it really is a tribute to all of the work that goes on at the local level to be able to have conserved this much land.
Senator, I just have one plea that if you can possibly work on restoring funding for AmeriCorps and Youth Conservation Corps and those, because those are the conservation leaders of the future that we need, and many of us are aging out, and we need the help of the young people.
On Monday, the entire delegation is going to do an event in Manchester focused on the AmeriCorps program. Some of you are old enough, like me, to remember I sponsored the legislation that brought AmeriCorps to New Hampshire when Steve Merrill was governor. And he endorsed the legislation. It was bipartisan, as some of us remember. So it's really disappointing. It's also one of those programs where a very small investment produces such huge returns. And like a lot of investing in a lot of these projects.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, and the point that's been mentioned about partnerships, and from a small self-funded agency, we work with TNC and SPNF and Fish and Wildlife Service and all these other groups to conserve land and pool our resources. So Ben's relationship with Dave Roby, getting in touch with the Fish and Wildlife Service, we got support from Fish and Game for migratory bird funds, all these different pieces to kind of put this puzzle together of these these remaining parcels. So and again, I think an act like this that brings even further money to kind of get us all at the table is very beneficial.
Yeah, me too. And so we'll keep at it. No retirement? No, I will have time.
I just heard today that you have a daughter that's going to take your place.
So excited. She announced today that she's going to run for the first district seat, my oldest daughter, Stephanie. Some of you may know. Yes, so very excited. Yes. She's already got my husband doing call time, so I said, put him to work.